Learn how.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank, where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. And you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Local sweet corn, apples, pork, and more. The Iowa Farm to School program has a lot in store. We are making lasting and nutritious changes in your school's food.
Let your school know that you want fresh food from the farm to the cafeteria.
Iowa Farm to School is growing into local school meals.
Let's grow together.
Your school can taste the locally grown difference by sourcing local produce from local farmers. What is your school eating?
If you'd like to learn more or see if your school signed up for the Iowa Local Food Day on October 11th, visit iowalocalfoodday.org. That's iowalocalfoodday.org.
Hi, I'm Michael Devine with Divine Intervention, AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. From 2 to 5, Monday through Friday, I'll be on the air talking local issues, local politics, local concerns. The only way this works, once again, is to have you join the conversation by calling 515-955-1400. Afternoons, 2 to 5, Divine Intervention. Please join the conversation. And I want to thank Alpha Media for allowing this program on the air in a town the size of Fort Dodge.
We are the land of the free because of the brave. Alpha Media and Graham Tire want to thank our local military men and women for their service. We'll have our Wall of the Brave displayed at Graham Tire in Fort Dodge. Stop out to Graham Tire and sign the wall as a show of support for our military. You can even give a shout out to an active or former military person at yourfortdodge.com. All names will be recognized on air, and your service man or woman might even be the winner of a grand prize package worth over $800. On Friday, November 9th, we'll announce the lucky winner. Then on Saturday, November 10th, we'll have a live broadcast party for our winner, all nominees, and our listeners. Nominate your former or active military service person now at yourfortdodge.com. Then head out to Graham Tire in Fort Dodge and sign our Wall of the Brave. This special Veterans promotion is sponsored by Graham Tire, Sestech Builders, Rampton Trucking, Misty Harbor, J&M Construction, Iowa Outdoor Store, Sears Hometown Store, Olson Ironworks, the Blue Moose Saloon, and Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Special day today. We have visitors from far away. I don't mean Des Moines. I mean, Tanzania is your hometown in Tanzania. And your name, first of all, is, again, please?
My name is Sadia Awadh Abdallah.
Sadia.
Yeah.
And you have a friend here. Is this your brother or is he just a friend?
He's my brother.
He's your brother in Christ or your real brother? Close enough, huh? And
yeah.
His name is Wilson?
Wilson Godliving Tarimo.
Well, welcome to our town and welcome to this radio station. I'm delighted to meet you both.
Thank you.
I'm delighted. You have come to this country. How long have you been in the United States?
First, we came for medical checkup the first time last year.
For a medical checkup?
Yeah. We have stayed 3 months. We got treatment because we got bus accident in Tanzania.
You know, I've got the cart in front of the horse, as we say in this country. I'm getting ahead of myself. So maybe I should talk about this book. And the book is Answer the Call by Dr. Stephen Meyer. Answer the Call by Dr. Stephen Meyer. And we have Dr. Meyer here with us. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Mike. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm delighted to have you. This is quite a story.
It is an amazing story of God's providence and provision and people answering the call. And that's why we named the book what we did.
You took some leaps of faith in this book. I'm going to have to say, it seems like you're open to suggestion. I'll put it that way.
That's putting it mildly.
But that's all right. I mean, wherever you seem to believe there was a call from God, or you described in this book, you describe talking with a young 19-year-old girl, and she said that you had said that you had kind of lost touch with God or something, and she looked at you and said, "No, God hasn't moved. You have," and you took that as meaning what?
Well, it meant that God is always God, and that I had taken liberties with God's ability to give us free will, and that I had moved away from God, and that I needed to seek after Him, and He would be there for me. And through a series of amazing events, I found myself in China, and then had a born again experience, and came back and went to Tanzania with Pastor John Gertz and Morningside Lutheran Church of Sioux City, and really felt incredibly called when I arrived in 1996 on Tanzanian soil, that's what God had put me on this good earth to do, was something.
You're originally from Hartley, up by Spencer.
Yep.
And you were living and working in Sioux City.
I was. I grew up on a little farm, 150-acre farm, just your typical family farm that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. No, it really doesn't, does it?
We had chickens and pigs and cows, and even tried turkeys one time.
By the way, when we say Dr. Meyer, you're not a theologian. You're a physician.
Yep. I'm an orthopedic surgeon in Sioux City.
Yeah, okay. And you're still in Sioux City.
Yep.
And how did you meet these two kids?
Well, through, as the book will describe, a series of incredible providential occurrences. Our mission team in May of 2017 was minutes behind the most tragic bus crash in Tanzanian history, where 35 seventh graders and 3 adults were traveling for a field day about an hour and a half away from Arusha, Tanzania. And our team, I wasn't there, but our team happened upon this, and heroically, 3 of our medical personnel, Kevin Negard, Amanda, and Jennifer Hadley, jumped out of the safari truck and literally waded through 35 dead bodies to find 3 that still had a pulse. Sure. And they, at that point, thought their job was over, but evidently God had other plans.
You know, surprisingly enough, I have a similar story to that. I won't go into it, but I had a similar story to that in another part of the world. Came upon a terrible accident with, there were adults and children. Yeah, it's shocking to come up on that. It really is. So now this was in Tanzania, and what happened? Were these 2 young people on the bus? I mean, Zahia here seemed to indicate that that's how that she got here, really.
Sadia Wilson and Doreen, who's not here today because she's having a medical checkup in Sioux City, were the only 3 with a pulse.
Oh, no.
And that's why they call each other brother and sister, because they have been thrown together under tragic but unique circumstances, and living and thriving through that, they have become truly united in Christ, but also feel like brother and sister to each other.
Okay. Let's pick it up from the bus accident. Now, these were, how many survivors were there actually from this accident?
There were 5 survivors for a few minutes, but after a few minutes, there were only 3 out of 38 passengers still alive. They took them from near the safari place they were going to Arusha, Tanzania, where the next day, our medical team and our board of directors from STEM, which is the Siouxland Tanzania Educational Medical Ministry, which is the mission that we founded, found them at the local hospital, where they were badly injured with 25 fractures between the 3 of them. And they came back to our orphanage that we have and shared this epic story with those of us who weren't on the trip, myself, my wife, and a few others. And my wife had the audacity to suggest that we might take these kids from Tanzania back to Mercy Hospital in Sioux City for medical treatment.
So you got a hold of our congressman to help you get that done, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And you know, when my wife said that, I said,
Talking Congressman Steve.
Steve King. Yeah, I told my wife it was absolutely, totally, incredibly beyond impossible. It was a moonshot, but that with God, all things are possible. And so the first person I called, actually at 11 o'clock on Sunday night, barely 24 hours after the accident, was my good congressman and good friend Steve King, who was, of all places, in Eastern Europe on a congressional delegation. And he will tell you to this day, when he saw his phone ring at 11 o'clock at night from Tanzania, he said, that could only be my crazy buddy, Steve Meyer, and he wouldn't call unless it was important. And he picks up the phone and says, Steve, how can I help you?
So he was not playing baseball somewhere.
No, he was actually doing work. And over the next 6 days, he worked out of 5 different embassies and almost missed the bus on the way home to really effect the majority of this story through his working with the State Department, Homeland Security, and ultimately the good Reverend Franklin Graham.
Really? Franklin Graham got involved.
So what really happened, Mike, is that I really did think it was nigh impossible, but I knew my wife would hammer me for being a man of little faith if I said no way. And so after calling Congress,
drive you crazy, don't they?
well, sometimes they think we can pull a rabbit out of the hat, but this time we did. And this time she was. So I called a parliamentarian friend of mine who actually went to school at Waldorf, a young man named Lazaro Nalandu, who graduated from Waldorf and Wartburg College, and he was a member of parliament. And so he affected things on their side of the fence. Less than 8 hours after calling Lazaro at 5 in the morning, he tells me to go to town and drives me up to this heavily guarded compound with guys with Uzis and hand grenades, opens the door and says, Steve, meet the vice president of Tanzania.
Really?
Well, for a little farm boy from Heartland, Iowa, that was almost a pant-wetting opportunity there. I was shocked. He didn't lead me on at all. He introduced me and said, this is Dr. Steve. And she goes, I met Dr. Steve 18 years ago. I remember him as a nice young man. And I retorted, well, half of that is still true. And she kind of got the joke, and that broke the ice. And I explained the quandary we had, and she understood it well, that these 2 of the 3 would not have survived, and 1 would have lost his leg, Wilson, had they been left to the Tanzanian healthcare system, where there are more orthopedic surgeons in Sioux City, Iowa, than in the country of Tanzania of 51 million people.
I want to speak to Sadia. Is that am I pronouncing her name correctly?
Sadia.
And Wilson. Is what language is your first language? What language do you speak in Tanzania?
The language which you speak in Tanzania is Swahili.
Swahili.
Yeah.
Is there a Swahili word for bored? Because you 2 look really bored. Do you know what bored means? No, you don't. Huh? Okay, that's all right. Well, we'll talk later. But I'm glad you 2 are here. Wilson, you nearly lost your leg. How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for, I think, 3 weeks.
How long?
3 weeks.
30 weeks?
3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks. Okay. And Wilson, how long was Wilson in the hospital? There you go. You get in there, Wilson.
The same.
The same? You were in the, and have you got both your legs?
Yeah, both
my legs. You have both your legs? Well, that's great. I'm happy to hear that. Do you go to church in Tanzania, or are you Islam, or what do you do? Do you go to church, or?
Yep, I'm a Christian.
You are a Christian, Wilson. Yep. And you are? Muslim. Okay. All right. Well, you both look healthy, and I'm delighted to see that. It was a bad accident, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Dr. Meyer, who did you put together the STEM? STEM is STMM. By the way, we're never going to have enough time to tell this remarkable story, so I'm going to have to refer you and recommend to you a book that Dr. Meyer wrote called Answer the Call. It's the story of the miracle kids of Tanzania, and we have a couple of them here today. It's by Throne Publishing Group. Can you get this at Amazon, or where can you get this?
Yeah, it can be purchased online at Amazon. The Kindle version is only $5, but because of the way Amazon works, To get the paperbacks, $25 through Amazon, but you can get it for 15 directly through STEM. So if you get on the STEM website, which is just simple, STEMM, STEM.org, we'll send you a book for $15. Or if you find me somewhere, I'll sign it for you for that amount of money. So $15 buys you, I think, an incredibly inspirational and potentially transformative book.
You believe God has been guiding you.
Yes, absolutely. And it is truly astronomically difficult or impossible to explain the circumstances and the outcome that are explained in this book without believing in Almighty God and his providence throughout this story. And I believe he works today, every day in our lives in ways that we'll never know this side of heaven.
Yeah, we're never going to understand most things as long as we're here.
Absolutely. And I think the other great message is that so many things in life that seem random are all part of God's plan. And I make the analogy that it's like your grandmother's needlepoint. When you watch her do it, it looks like a bunch of random threads, and you turn it over and it's this beautiful artwork of tapestry. And I think our lives are like that, where God introduces us to people, gives us opportunities and circumstances, and then allows us free will. And ultimately, the tapestry that we choose for our lives and for eternity are how we decide to or not to answer God's call.
So you're a totally Iowa guy. You went to Iowa State University, played football for Earl Bruce.
Yep.
What was your position?
Defensive back.
Defensive back. And you went to medical school where?
University of Iowa.
University of Iowa. So you hit them all.
I tried.
Did you hit the UNI or Drake? No, huh?
We have a great experience with Drake, though. Our mission took Drake football team when Chris Creighton was there and played the very first game of American football on African soil and facilitated a climb of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
So UNI is the only one that's not been involved in my life in some big way.
Well, we'll see what we can do about it.
There you go.
But what are you doing in town today, Dr. Meyer?
We were here today because I was asked to speak at the community college. And I'm very compelled to tell this story. I mean, this story, not just a book, but the story itself transformed my life and really solidified my view that God is good, that he speaks to us today, and that if we answer God's call, miracles will happen. And I believe in a country that has so much disbelief, and especially in a country that's so incredibly racially and politically divisive, that we need a story out there that talks about love and crossing the chasm of color and country and creed and religion, and shows what true Christian love is all about. And it's about doing what we can in our world to effect God's plan. God didn't need any of us to save these kids, but he chose to use us so that he can show his power through his people.
That's profound, really. That is, especially since the little girl is Muslim. You believe that Christian faith and love is transformative.
Absolutely. I think it's the only hope we have as a society. I think what I see on television, radio, where people are so narcissistic and self-centered and relationships don't matter. Our mission is based on being spirit-led and relationally driven. And, a cool little vignette, Mike, I really want to share to point that out. In Sioux City, Iowa, if you look under dive bars, under Webster's dictionary, the townhouse bar will come up. It's full of redneck, Bible-beaten, gun-toting, blue-collar American people.
Yeah, I should move to Sioux City.
You should. You'd fit right in, Mike. But in this bar, these young kids love chicken wings.
Oh.
And that's what they're known for. And so every Wednesday night is Wing Wednesday, and they went every Wednesday and most Saturdays. And every time they went to pay the bill, some farmer, rancher, trucker, construction worker who didn't know these kids picked up the tab.
Why not?
And to me, that shows how it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or Christian or Muslim, that we can love each other, and that love does transcend all.
What you mentioned that you were married, and I assume married for a long time. What sort of effect has your work had on your marriage? Yeah, it's been the glue that's held my marriage and my family together. My wife has been to Tanzania over 20 times. I've been there 47. My 3 kids, who are now in high school at Heelan, have each been there at least 6 times over the last 10 years. And so it is really the bond and the driving force of our entire family, much less our marriage. Well, again, we were never going to get to all of the things that are around this story, but as I would recommend the book "Answer the Call: The Story of the Miracle Kids of Tanzania" by our guest, Dr. Stephen Meyer, on behalf of the STEM and the community of Sioux City. Again, you can get the book by Amazon does sell it, but actually it's STEM.com.
.org.
.org. I beg your pardon. STEMM.org is the best way to get this, and it's Throne Publishing Company.
And if you're a Kindle reader, it's only $5, Amazon Kindle. So that's
Amazon
a great,
Kindle.
great option as well.
Okay.
And the reviews that we've had on it, people have talked about it really changing their life in a transformative way. And it's not the book that transforms them. It's realizing how God is real and God loves us, and he has a plan specifically for each and every one of us. We just have to be able and willing to listen to his voice and answer his call.
All right, Dr. Stephen Meyer, thank you. Well
Thank
said.
you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
This is KVFD in Fort Dodge,
In
Iowa.
a pre-planned operation directed by top Saudi officials. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Game 1 of the World Series tonight, the Red Sox and the Dodgers at Boston's Fenway Park.
The Red Sox catchphrase this season is do damage. That's for the players on the field, not the fans in the street. So I just want to be very clear on that.
Mayor Marty Walsh encouraging fans to have fun responsibly. Boston's police commissioner urging people to only get tickets from reputable agents. This is Fox News.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. Today's fluctuating interest rates can leave you with unexpected higher mortgage payments. At Quicken Loans, we've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates so you can buy a home with certainty. It's called Rate Shield, and here's how it works. With Rate Shield, you can lock your interest rate while you shop for a new home. So if rates go up, you don't have to worry. And here's the best part. If rates go down, you get the lower rate. With Rate Shield, we really have you covered. Here are more reasons why you'll want to work with America's largest mortgage lender. For 8 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 5th year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Rate Shield, another way we can save you money on your mortgage. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Based on Rocket Mortgage data in comparison to public data records. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Facebook unveiling a new searchable database that gives information on how much is being spent on political ads and who's doing the spending, along with issues of national importance leading up to the midterm elections. The judge in the Bill Cosby case says no to a retrial or a new sentence.
Judge Stephen O'Neill's decision comes after a review of Cosby's trial and its outcome that he called exhaustive. The defense claimed errors were made in procedure, leading to the comedian's sentence of 3 to 10 years in a Pennsylvania prison on an aggravated indecent assault conviction. Cosby's attorneys say that jail term was too harsh, was based on old evidence that should not have come to trial and should be reduced. Judge O'Neill did not provide an explanation for his ruling, telling the defense any appeals should be filed with the state Supreme Court. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
An outbreak of a common virus is blamed for the deaths of 6 children at a New Jersey hospital that cares for kids considered medically fragile. State health officials say adenovirus also sickened a dozen more children, and the outbreak remains under investigation. It's not the same as the polio-like virus known as AFM for short, the CDC, investigating more than 150 cases of that. Tonight could be the night someone becomes a billionaire, on paper at least. The Mega Millions jackpot, a record-tying $1.6 billion.
And it's not just Mega Millions. Powerball has also ballooned to $620 million and could climb even higher ahead of Wednesday's draw. Americans may love to play the odds, but these odds aren't looking good. You are more likely to be struck by lightning, attacked by a shark, hit by an asteroid than win the Mega Millions jackpot.
Fox Business Network's Christina Partsinevelos, the odds of winning both Mega Millions and Powerball this week, about 1 in 88 quadrillion. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A man from Fort Dodge has been charged with a count of second-degree kidnapping and a count of first-degree robbery after an incident on Sunday morning. 28-year-old Keen Collins is the man charged after allegedly assaulting and robbing a Webster City man. Collins, along with several others, allegedly forced the man from a home on Haskell Street into an apartment and left him in a car. Collins made his initial appearance at Webster County Magistrate Court on Monday and is being held on 2 cash bonds totaling $50,000 and was issued a no-contact order with the man. An October 31st preliminary hearing has been scheduled for Collins. A body was found in a waterway in Webster City on Sunday night. The name of the individual has not been identified and the cause of death has not been released. The Fort Dodge Community School District recently submitted its certified enrollment for the 2018-19 school year to the Iowa Department of Education. The report shows enrollment declined by 140 students compared to last year. Superintendent Jesse Ulrich said in a written statement that one of the biggest factors is that the district's kindergarten class has 40 less students than last year's graduating class, and that there are fewer resident students living in Fort Dodge. Ulrich said that the positives are that open enrollment into the district has increased, while open enrollment out has declined. The decrease in overall enrollment will mean a nearly $1 million decrease in state funding for the district next year. To prepare for this decrease in funding, the district will be offering an early retirement incentive to staff who are eligible, reviewing and adjusting administrative positions as appropriate, and analyzing how to reduce the number of dropouts and increase the graduation rate. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and her challenger Democrat Fred Hubbell are taking to the road in the closing 2 weeks of the campaign. Both candidates have announced bus tours. Hubbell is rallying supporters today near the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines before departing on a first-day swing to Nevada, Ames, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. Reynolds plans to begin her tour tomorrow in West Des Moines before traveling to Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls the first day. The most recent reports indicate Hubbell has set a fundraising record for an Iowa governor's race. Hubbell has raised nearly $18 million, including $6.4 million of his own money. His total beat the previous record of nearly $10 million raised by former Governor Terry Branstad in 2014. Reynolds has raised nearly $12 million for her campaign. In local sports, Bob Howard resigned as Webster City Athletic Director at Monday night's Webster City School Board meeting. His resignation will be effective on November 1st. Brent Jorth and Pat Fairley will lead the athletic department until the district hires a new AD. Howard has been the head coach of the Webster City football program since 2007 and plans on reapplying for the position when the position is advertised next year. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Clear skies and quiet this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 51. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight, lows around 30, high of 53 tomorrow. Chance for scattered showers Thursday and Friday, 50 Thursday, 54 Friday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 52.
The opinions and remarks expressed on this radio program by the host, guests, and call-in listeners are the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not reflect the views of management or ownership of KVFD AM 1400.
Welcome to Jimmy John's.
Hi, your new 9-grain wheat sub is so good. How do you make it?
With the highest quality ingredients and love. I mean, we definitely don't sing at lullabies when it's baking. Lullabies are what parents sing to babies.
Right.
And we don't use a baby carrier to carry the warm, fresh 9-grain wheat subs to the cooling racks. I mean, they're not babies. They're for making delicious sandwiches.
Okay, I'll take a turkey tom.
Oh, don't name them. It makes it harder.
Try our new 9-grain wheat sub, Jimmy John's. Wheat yeah, freak yeah.
I'm Ann Meyer. After 31 years as a nurse, I've seen it all. I know Iowans because I've taken care of them and kept them healthy. I've also seen where our state can do better, like health care that's affordable and readily available, mental health and veterans care services for those who are too often forgotten, and encourage businesses to invest in Iowa's second-to-none workforce. I'm Ann Meyer, and from the exam room to the state capitol, I'll never stop working for Iowans.
Paid for by Ann Meyer for State House.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank, where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. And you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One NA member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
iPod, huh?
Was that some sort of space capsule?
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 with Mayor Matt Bemrick.
Boss, man, top dog, big cheese, a head honcho.
Call now. 515-955-1400.
Yeah, it's a top dog, the big cheese. Well, it's actually David Furyk. I mean, that was the mayor's introductory piece there. But actually, the big cheese, David Furyk. How you doing, David?
Great. Can I get my own introductory piece?
I think you can. I just called you the big cheese because you're big.
I always like
you're
that.
a big guy.
I always like that. You're not unlucky. That's a good one.
You're just a dumbass.
Yeah. I wasn't going to use that on the radio. But
I don't have any problem. I have some humility, not that much. But
so, do they give you a list of what you can't say on the radio?
Yes. Well, the government will kind of guide us in that regard. I mean, there's still times of the day when you must restrict your speech, and there's times of the day where
you can be a little more.
After 10 o'clock at night, where I'm in bed by that time, by the way. After 10 o'clock at night, they loosen up a little bit. If you notice the TV shows over the years, I mean, they've
kind of a little looser.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised a couple of years ago on ABC Network. There were two men naked in bed kissing each other. And and I forget what show this was. But there was, a couple of words that I wouldn't usually have used on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no taking the name of the Lord in vain type names, but there were some words that were classified as cuss words in the past.
Yeah.
The world is changing. What do you do? The world changes. And some of the things that we couldn't say, we now can, and some of the things we could say, we now can't. So I don't know. I'm just trying to go with the flow, David. I'm trying to go with the
trying
flow.
to get along.
Just trying to get along. And, actually, I try to stir it up a little bit here. Yes, I do. Anyway, so we had a city council meeting last night. Were you there? Or did you take the night off or what?
I was there.
All right. Did you get it all stirred up or what?
No, I don't try to stir things up.
Yes, you do. Let's kill the spring cleanup.
I usually try to keep things calm.
You do, huh? Okay. All right. Okay. So what happened during the meeting? What was your impression of the city council meeting last night?
Well, we got through all our business. So everything did proceed through and pass that was on the agenda. There was I know there was a split vote of 6-1 on the sewer.
Let me guess who the one was.
Well, Dean has habitually voted in opposition to the utilities increases. It's been his.
Actually, I was thinking of Halder, but when you said you're right, I should have figured that out from Dean, because Dean is a former sewer guy. And
he's voted. I think he's voted against all these increases in the past.
Yeah, well, he's the council meetings I've been to, when something like this comes up, he always gives his explanation, which is, I think people in his ward have a little trouble with these increases, and they're not the wealthiest people, and I accept that.
Yeah, he's definitely sensitive to that, and has to be mindful of the constituents in his ward.
Yeah, yeah. Usually we just bowl them over.
No,
do what we want to anyway. You people are bothering us.
No, we don't. Mike.
Don't you? All right.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. So when can we use fireworks next? That's New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, I think on New Year's Eve you can use fireworks.
New Year's Eve, you don't have the dates, or not?
Well,
you don't.
December 31st.
December. I shouldn't have said that. The times, I guess, on fireworks.
11:45 to midnight.
Oh,
honestly, I don't know I can't recall what the times.
It was a 5-hour time period, as I recall.
I'll have to make sure I have that down before we before our meeting before New Year's Eve.
Yeah, well, it's a little while off.
Mm-hmm.
Does the city take any special plans for Halloween safety precautions, or?
I don't know. There's really no special safety precautions plans. The city sets out, they call them the beggars night hours or trick or treat hours. And we set that out as a general guide to the community. The 5:30 to 7 are the hours of trick or treating of when, is it a law? No. Or those are just hours we say that because people always ask, which is is when is trick or treating? Well,
Yeah.
it's Halloween and it's 5:30 to 7. So
Well, I don't think we've had any incidents around Halloween. The usual mean kids beating up on the younger ones, of course.
No, we don't. So we don't. I don't. We may have a few extra police officers working. Sometimes it depends on when the day falls. You know, if it's falling on a Friday, Saturday, it can sometimes be a little more rowdy. But those usually aren't kids being rowdy at that point. Those are probably more of adult age.
Oh yeah. I had a couple of, not last year, but the year before, I had 5 kids show up on my front porch. They all must have been 16, 17, 18. I said, what are you doing on my porch? Get the hell out of here. They were all dressed up, you know. And
They were dressed in costumes?
Oh, they were in costumes.
And you just told them to go away?
Yeah, I said, get out of here.
You didn't reward their creativity?
I did. Their creativity. They were not exactly elaborate costumes. They went out to Target and bought $2 masks.
Just a mask and a sweatshirt. That's all.
And then I remembered my car was still outside. You know?
Yeah.
I was asking for a trick. I didn't get it.
Was it egg free the next
No,
day?
it was egg free the next day. But I oh my God, my car's out there. What's it going to look like this morning? Yeah, because we used to soap windows pretty much. Oh, I think the statute of limitations is
probably on soaping windows.
Yeah, it was 55 years ago. Don't put me away for life on soaping windows. Yeah. Oh yeah, Halloween was great fun for me. I don't know how it was for you. Did you have Halloween in Illinois? Or
yeah, we actually call it Halloween. I never heard of Beggar's Night till I moved to Iowa.
Well, I don't know. You know, Fort Dodge is about the only doggone town that refers to it as Beggar's.
That is. I thought so too. And then this weekend I was driving through Madrid on the way back from
Beggar's Night. Now
Des Moines, and they had the sign. They had the little electrical sign. I think it was actually at the high school in Madrid that said Beggar's Night, and I was like, oh, someone else refers to it as Beggar's Night, not just Fort Dodge.
So the council is referring to it as Beggar's Night?
No, we just call it Halloween.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But people used to always ask, when's Beggar's Night?
Because I'd come to the meeting and suggest that we officially change it from Beggar's
Well,
Night.
it used to be that we actually set a day and time for it, and it didn't necessarily follow Halloween. Now the council.
That's right, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, and then probably a year or two after I got here, the council just set by resolution. It's always Halloween, and it's always 5:30 to 7.
Some people come up with the damn stupidest ideas, or let's have Halloween on the 28th or something.
Yeah.
You know, why would you do that?
Well, and the only story I heard is why you wouldn't do it on the 31st is, sometimes conflict on Sundays. People don't want to do it on Sundays or Wednesday nights or things like that. But
well, I could, I can't even see that. Halloween's Halloween. Busted loose.
Yeah.
Busted loose, David. I am delighted to be able, by the way, to go to the Crossroads Mall and go north, south, east, west, any old direction I want to do.
Yeah, it's open to four-way traffic, so the intersection is open in all directions.
And we have stoplights coming in December.
Yeah, they're scheduled for delivery in December. They don't take too long to put up and wire up and everything, but yeah, they were supposed to be here. Oh, I bet August, and they weren't.
They weren't.
No, just
we've been talking about this the last few weeks. Yeah. Why did that happen?
Just delay at the factory.
Delay at the factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably other orders came in or whatever, and we didn't.
They stepped us. Huh? Fort Dodge, where's that? Yeah.
Yeah, we probably buy one every 5 years or something.
Yeah.
We don't rank high on their customer list.
I don't suppose. And we took out the downtown stoplight. Yeah. So. Why did we go with stoplights out the Crossroads?
Well, it's been traffic signals there even before, since I've been here.
Well, I understand that. There's also been traffic signals downtown.
Oh, why did we go back to it? Through studying the traffic safety, because we did get some DOT traffic. No, I shouldn't say. I don't know if we got traffic safety money or there's an acronym engineers always use for it, but it's about congestion and how to move traffic more freely through the area. So before we could get that DOT money, we had to do a study on what is the best way to move traffic. And that's where we came up with, when you're going east to west, one through lane, a left turn lane, and a right turn lane so that it doesn't get congested. We did the same thing on 25th Street where we made it was 4 lanes and we brought it down to 3 lanes with a turn lane and then one through lane. And then we do at the intersection, we do a right turn lane. So, best answer I could give you is not the engineer who designed it, to saying, that was what they deemed best for the traffic conditions and moving traffic through it as fast and as easy as possible with the shortest amount of stops.
So the stoplights, but that it didn't show that about downtown traffic. The stoplights were not.
Yeah, actually, the contrary downtown, it showed that the stoplights were not needed. If the volume of traffic you didn't need to have stoplights.
Probably not now, no.
Because we did that too as well when we started doing the downtown study and the crosstown connector traffic study. We didn't not only looked at how the crosstown connector would create traffic, but what is needed downtown. And it determined that really, other than on First Avenue South, we didn't need traffic signals downtown anymore. That they were just kind of, it was extra stuff, extra infrastructure we had to maintain. It required people to wait extra long because, I heard this repetitively back when we had the traffic signals. That, I'd come up and I'd stop at a red light and I'd be the only one there, and I'd have to wait, a minute and a half till it changed. And so, the casual observer could look at it and say, well, we really didn't need traffic signals downtown.
Probably pretty expensive to replace. Our traffic signals were pretty old.
They're very expensive.
Probably just easier to throw up a stop sign. Huh?
It's very, very much easier.
Yeah, gosh. I still don't know what we're going to do with that Crossroads area. The Crossroads Mall, I hope we can get something done. Of course, the world keeps changing, and it's changing quicker all the time. What other projects do we have to finish before we get really cold? Because it's getting kind of cold already.
15th Avenue South.
15th Avenue South.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be done.
Are you talking about that bridge out there? Or?
Well, the bridge is done. The bridge was a county project. That's
Bridge
actually
was a
been
county.
done. That's been done for a while.
Okay.
But then right when the county wanted to open the road and the bridge back up, the city wanted to close it so that we could do the drainage project on the south central drainage and southeast drainage, and drain that part of, I can't think of the exact road numbers, but we made some crossings, kind of the 25th, South 25th Street, 28th, 27th, somewhere in that area. We did several new storm sewers going up in the neighborhood and then across 15th Avenue South to the south, and then eventually go into the ditch that runs through the gypsum mines.
So do we get the bridge open?
The bridge is done. It's just waiting for the road to be done, and then we'll open it.
So the bridge is done but not open.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the city's got it screwed up down there.
The city has it closed.
You hate the way I phrase things, don't you?
The city's got traffic all screwed up. A funny story. I was in Mason City for a swim meet this summer.
You've just got to grow with the flow on this program.
I kind of feel
you're kind of picking up on it. Bemrick's got it down to a science.
I got to tell you, I'm enlightened. I feel people's pain. So I was in Mason City.
You're feeling people's pain
this summer, and Mason City had certain roads closed, certain roads under construction, bridges out, and I was trying to get to my destination. I couldn't get there. I was having to switch back, and I was like, "Why do they have everything tore up?" It's like, now I know how visitors feel when they come to Fort Dodge.
So how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", 6'5",
yeah, something like that.
Do you ever go stand next to Dean, look down on him, and say, "Remember when you tried to fire me?" Because Dean's only like what, 5'8", 5'9"?
No, unless for the record, he never tried to fire me.
He didn't.
No, they never tried to fire me.
Oh well.
There was a group of council
thought
members.
about it.
Well, I don't know. They never told me that. There was a group of council members that wanted to change my contract from a multi-year
active to inactive.
No, to a 1-year contract.
Oh, 1 year.
I'm trying to keep it serious here. Mike.
Okay.
Just trying to keep the facts out there, so it doesn't get misconstrued. So there was an effort to do that, and I accepted that, and we went to a 1-year contract. I think for a year or so.
Yeah,
and then
we got rid of those guys. So what do you have now? 5-year, 10-year?
This is 4-year, just renewed.
Really? Is that all?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, the council still get. I mean, let's be clear about it. The council can still get rid of me if they don't like.
Sure,
me
yeah.
Within that 4-year contract, and I'm not like a football coach where they have to pay me for all 4 years. There's a severance policy in there, but it's not even a year long. So.
Oh, it isn't.
No.
Well, I'd say you're not worth as much as Hayden Fry.
It's kind of my commitment to the city.
It's kind of your commitment. I guess
years.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's
4 more years. That sounds like
you just don't look like that sort of gambler to me, but apparently you are.
No, I love the city. I
know you do, and you've done it. Let me just say right now, you've done a terrific job of your time here. I know a lot of these projects took a lot of work and a special type of skill and expertise, and that can be attributed to you, and certainly not the council members that we've seen over the years.
Oh,
I mean, the council members are just regular folks. I shouldn't put it that way, like I'm digging the council people. I mean, necessarily, because there's been a lot of good councilmen. There's some that I picked on over the years, and they hated my guts for it. But for the most part, we're just, the council people are just citizens, and they're trying to do the best they can. And I think going to the city manager form of government was the right idea, because really, council people, as a rule, don't have the expertise to run a city. They don't. And I mean, Mayor Bemrick does a great job, but he's an electrician, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a complexity that comes with it, and it's gotten more and more complex
Exactly.
as things change. Whether it's that it requires a level of professionalism that really you got to be at it full time. I will tell you though, you could have the best city manager in the world, if you don't have a city council that's willing to step up and be leaders and make tough decisions for the benefit of the whole community, even in the face of criticism, you're not going to get a whole lot done. And this council's been fantastic at that, in that they have looked with a very, very good and strong vision at the future and realized these are things we have to do to keep this community going in the right direction, and had to endure criticism for it. And I mean, to their credit, they've kept focused and want to improve this community. It's and I couldn't say that for prior councils going way back. And even before I was here, I hear about how nothing would get done, and
nothing would get done. There were mayors and council at the time who just said, we haven't got the money and we don't want to do it. And one of our former mayors actually said the Hormel plant closing was one of the better things that ever happened to Fort Dodge. I don't know where he was coming and rolling that, but
yeah, that's a lot of payroll to lose.
That's a lot. Oh,
wow.
Between Iowa Beef and Hormel, it was 2,000 jobs.
Yeah,
and they were good paying jobs for the time too.
And that hurts everybody.
It does.
All the retailers, the service industries, because that money gets spent here. That's why it's important to recruit jobs. That's why we work hard with Cargill and try to recruit other companies to Fort Dodge, so we can have those retail bucks. That's also why we want to build houses in Fort Dodge, so when those people get the jobs, they actually live here, so they keep spending their hard-earned money in our community.
Where do you think the most of these new jobs are coming from? Prestige, do you believe?
Well, Prestige, right now, the big jobs, or the majority of the new jobs, are going to be Prestige. I mean, they're going to open here, I don't know,
right after the
5
first
months.
of the year. Now they pushed it back until after the first of the year now.
And
but that is, wow, what an impressive facility that is over
so when they're fully staffed, that's going to be a big impact. And we're the biggest town around them, so we should see an ample amount of their workers living here in Fort Dodge and shopping here in Fort Dodge. So that's all good stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. David Fricks, I guess I should have asked for a call. Maybe I did. 515-955-1400. If you have a question or comment for the city manager, 515-955-1400, if you care to. Yeah.
I got one little public service announcement.
A public service announcement. Okay.
So, we're starting to get calls in the mayor's office about when is open burning going to be allowed, because the council over the past years has set by resolution when we allow open burning. Well, about 3 years ago, they said, city manager, you just said it. We want a 10-day or 9-day period, once in the fall and once in the spring. So it's my job to set that. Basically, I watch what is a long-term weather forecast to make sure it's not too rainy. But right now, I still see a lot of leaves on the trees. So there is no open burning permitted of yard waste permitted in Fort Dodge right now. It may be in a couple weeks, but there'll be a press release from the mayor's office when open burning is allowed.
You're not going to set the times like from midnight to 6 in the morning.
No, it's basically the times are already set. You can't do it after dark. You can't do it. There's certain times. It'll all be in the press release, but basically we set it from a Saturday and we run it through the full week through the next Sunday. So people have 2 weekends in a week to do leaf burning. But I mean, right now it just seems like it's not quite time enough. There's still too many leaves on the trees. So we'll keep monitoring that, and then we'll usually give people about a week's notice of when it's going to be, so they can kind of prepare for it. But right now, I think it's still a bit too early.
People don't want to burn leaves. They can always get the trash bags or the leaf bags.
These are leaf bags, yes.
What days are those picked up?
Those are picked up on Fridays, and you can phone into Public
for the whole
Works.
city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phone into Public Works or use our Connect Fort Dodge app on your smartphone, and then just order it directly from your smartphone.
Connect Fort Dodge?
Yeah, Connect Fort Dodge.
That's not See Click Fix.
No, yes, it is, but the actual brand name is Connect Fort Dodge. So if you did that app, you actually could be standing in your yard and order the trash, the yard waste pickup, and it'll figure out your address based on your GPS and your phone.
Okay. Look at this. Now I can't find it. Where's See Click Fix on my doggone phone? I had it.
should be called Connect Ford Dodge. And the app has just recently been updated. So go to your app store and update it.
So go to the App Store, and is it Connect Ford Dodge now, or Click Fix, or
Connect
Ford Dodge? All right.
Yeah.
David Ferrick, City Manager, is our guest. Anything else that we need to know?
I think I'm out of time.
I think you're out of time. Yeah. So okay, that's it. David Ferrick, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is AM 1400 KVFD.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talk.
There it is. 61. $5,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here is the fellow with 61. You're seeing a lot today. Well, you haven't seen anything like this, have you? Nobody ever has.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. This is AM 1400 KVFD. By the way, that video there was Roger Maris hitting his 61st home run with the great Red Barber at the mic. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Supervisor Merrill Leffler will tell you why he should be reelected in the next half hour.
Meaningful memorialization starts when loved ones talk about what matters most.
Grandpa, this card asks, what was your favorite vacation?
Well, we didn't go on vacation when I was a kid, but our family did go fishing when we could. My dad could always find the best fishing holes, and he taught me how to clean the fish, too.
You mean you ate the fish you caught?
You bet.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
If you suffer from ED and you've seen your doctor about the little blue pill, you know it can be expensive, and seeing the doctor and waiting at the pharmacy can be a hassle. What if I told you that a certain little blue pill just came off patent December 11th, and that same active ingredient that's in the little blue pill is now available in generic form, available to you for just $30 for a month's supply? That's a big discount. No more getting ripped off by the big pharma companies. With 4hims.com, you can bypass the doctor's office, pharmacy visit, and save huge money on your prescription ED meds. Just go to 4hims.com/health. Consult with a licensed physician, and following their confidential medical review, you can have the proper prescription delivered directly to your door for a fraction of the price. And today, while supplies last, you can get started with a trial month for just $5. That's right, $5. Here's what you do. Just go to 4hims.com, FORHIMS.com/health today, and get started for just $5 while supplies last. Visit 4hims.com/health right now. 4hims.com/health.
See website for full details. Not all services through the HIMS platform are available in all 50 states.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Who would have thought there'd be entire aisles devoted to bottled water, and that people would buy more water than pop? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters here in Fort Dodge. Spring water, drinking water, mineral water. There's so many choices, and we're proud to offer you them all. From our own refreshingly pure drinking water to ultra-pure Mountain Valley spring water, Blue Ribbon Pelham's is your complete water store.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A man from Fort Dodge has been charged with a count of second-degree kidnapping and a count of first-degree robbery after an incident on Sunday morning. 28-year-old Keaton Collins is the man charged after allegedly assaulting and robbing a Webster City man. Collins, along with several others, allegedly forced the man from a home on Haskell Street into an apartment and left him in a car. Collins made his initial appearance at Webster County Magistrate Court on Monday and is being held on 2 cash bonds totaling $50,000 and was issued a no-contact order with the man. An October 31st preliminary hearing has been scheduled for Collins. A body was found in a waterway in Webster City on Sunday night. The name of the individual has not been identified and the cause of death has not been released. The Fort Dodge Community School District recently submitted its certified enrollment for the 2018-19 school year to the Iowa Department of Education. The report shows enrollment declined by 140 students compared to last year. Superintendent Jesse Ulrich said in a written statement that one of the biggest factors is that the district's kindergarten class has 40 less students than last year's graduating class, and that there are fewer resident students living in Fort Dodge. Ulrich said that the positives are that open enrollment into the district has increased, while open enrollment out has declined. The decrease in overall enrollment will mean a nearly $1 million decrease in state funding for the district next year. To prepare for this decrease in funding, the district will be offering an early retirement incentive to staff who are eligible, reviewing and adjusting administrative positions as appropriate, and analyzing how to reduce the number of dropouts and increase the graduation rate. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and her challenger Democrat Fred Hubbell are taking to the road in the closing 2 weeks of the campaign. Both candidates have announced bus tours. Hubbell is rallying supporters today near the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines before departing on a first-day swing to Nevada, Ames, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. Reynolds plans to begin her tour tomorrow in West Des Moines before traveling to Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls the first day. The most recent reports indicate Hubbell has set a fundraising record for an Iowa governor's race. Hubbell has raised nearly $18 million, including $6.4 million of his own money. His total beat the previous record of nearly $10 million raised by former Governor Terry Branstad in 2014. Reynolds has raised nearly $12 million for her campaign. In local sports, Bob Howard resigned as Webster City Athletic Director at Monday night's Webster City School Board meeting. His resignation will be effective on November 1st. Brent Jorth and Pat Fairley will lead the athletic department until the district hires a new AD. Howard has been the head coach of the Webster City football program since 2007 and plans on reapplying for the position when the position is advertised next year. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Clear skies and quiet this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 51. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight, lows around 30, high of 53 tomorrow. Chance for scattered showers Thursday and Friday, 50 Thursday, 54 Friday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 52.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn up 3/4 cent to close at 3.70 1/4. March up 3/4 at 3.82 1/2. May up 3/4 penny at 3.90. July up a penny at 3.95 3/4. November soybeans down a penny at 8.57 1/2. January down 1 1/2 at 8.71. March down 1 1/2 at 8.84 1/4. May down 1 1/4 at 8.98 1/4. December wheat closed up a penny at 5.09. Soybean meal up 2.10 a ton at 3.10.70. October live cattle down 2 cents at 112.77. December down 92 at 117.15. October feeders down 57 cents at 155.07. November down 105 at 155.87. December lean hogs closed up 135 at 54.52, and February up $1.12 on the day to close at 61.42. I'm Dwayne Murley.
From the Fox Business Network, all Wall Street stocks trying to claw back from some steeper losses, but still ending in the red in a day of heavy trading volume. The latest sell-off coming as investors are concerned about Italy debt, Saudi tensions, trade wars, and earnings. Among the big Dow laggards today, Caterpillar and 3M, with the Dow closing down 126 points. The Nasdaq down 31, S&P 500 down 15. And Tesla stock rallying, closing up about 12% higher after famed short seller Citron Research turned long on the electric car maker, saying that the Model 3 is a proven hit and that many of the warning signs about Tesla have proven to be insignificant. And railroad company Union Pacific planning to lay off about 500 employees before the end of the year, according to the Wall Street Journal. It's the first of several rounds of job cuts as the company implements a new operating plan to turn around its performance. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
The worst commercial ever.
Say, Jan, as a fellow respected small business professional, I wonder, who do you use for commercial auto and business insurance?
Progressive, of course. They helped with a customized insurance solution for my busy florist company.
I'm so glad we had this chance encounter in this busy restaurant.
Yes, that fake conversation was brutal. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Its affiliated and third-party insurers.
The news and weather has been brought to you by the committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler, supervisor.
Merrill Leffler has been an outstanding supervisor. With his long history as a successful business person, Merrill Leffler has earned the respect of his colleagues, the courthouse staff, and the public. It's obvious Merrill loves our community and our county. He understands we're on the verge of real change and offers you his years of experience, his passion for our community to make things better for you, your family, for all of us. Re-elect Merrill Leffler, forward-thinking, progressive.
Paid for by committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 440, and the weather forecast, sunny with a high of 51 today. That's exactly where we are right now. Overnight clear with a low of 30. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 53. On Thursday, slight chance of rain in the morning. Otherwise, cloudy with a high of 58. Another slight chance of rain on Friday morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a high of 54. The weekend, sunny with a high of 53 on Saturday. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 51. On Monday, it'll be sunny with a high of 52. Right now, 51 degrees at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. News and weather brought to you by the committee to re-elect Merrill Leffler, supervisor.
Elvis is back. And this time, he's bringing his friend Johnny Cash with him.
I hear the train coming. It's
Alpha Media
rolling
presents
around
the Elvis and Johnny Tribute with Joseph Hall and Paul Eve. Friday night, November 2nd in the Cardiff Center at Fort Frenzy.
Every time I hear her, oh, baby, cry. Because you're mine, I'll walk the line.
Doors open at 5:30 and the Elvis and Johnny Tribute starts at 7. Tickets are $25 in advance or $30 at the door. Get them now at Hy-Vee Fort Dodge, the Iowa Outdoor Store, or Fort Frenzy. Bring the whole family to see this tribute to the king of rock and roll and the man in black as Joseph Hall and Paul Eve present the Elvis and Johnny Tribute. Friday night, November 2nd at Fort Frenzy. Brought to you in part by Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating, J&M Construction in Bode, Cactus Family Farms, the Iowa Outdoor Store, and United Bank of Iowa in Fort Dodge, Rockwell City, and Pocahontas. The Elvis and Johnny Tribute is an Alpha Media event.
Thrifty White Community Health Corner, your source for reliable health information. Get your flu shot, not the flu. The flu vaccine is the best way to prevent seasonal flu. October is a good month to get your vaccine for longer protection during the flu season. Flu shots available at your local Thrifty White pharmacy. No appointment necessary. Walk-ins are always welcome. Stop in today.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 KVFD, where Fort Dodge talks.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
I am the Doctor of Truth, and with me is Merrill Leffler, who seems to have a big target on his head again this election year. Merrill, what is with you? I understand that there was all kinds of bizarre accusations running around this time. I mean, last time you ran for re-election, and it really got strange, I have to tell you. There was a flyer around town that made some... I hardly recognized you. And now there's another email floating around that makes some sort of accusation along the same lines. I mean, fantastic allegations, really.
Yeah, it always seems to come out of the woodwork for my races.
Yeah,
I don't really know what it is.
Unless you're a more interesting guy than I have pegged you for the last several years.
I'm pretty dull, actually. People don't see me out on the street or the bars too often or anything. I'm pretty dull. But And last time was my opponent. This time, I must say, I don't believe it's my opponent or a campaign at all. So, I think they've pledged and I've pledged to run a decent, honest campaign and not go into the weeds. So I think from a campaign standpoint, both Eugene and Nikki and I are all, doing fine, but you have these outside people that are anonymous and whatever. And so everybody usually,
I love those anonymous people. Aren't they courageous?
Most of that stuff just goes right in the trash. People know that it, So,
well, I must say you're being fairly magnanimous about this. You'd never make it as a talk show host. I got to tell you that.
Well, I'm just, I'm not a big self-promoter, and I just try to ignore rumors and whatever. So,
Eugene Melvin Newsom was on the program yesterday. He is an independent running for supervisor. We gave Gene his, he prefers Melvin. Excuse me. Yeah, we gave Melvin his 20 minutes worth of free airtime. This is Merrill's. And Nikki Conrad is certainly welcome to the program for 20 minutes of airtime to tell us why she should be the next supervisor. Just want to be on record as saying that.
I think that's a good service, Mike. It really is to have all the people on if they want to come on. So
and some don't. Some do, some don't. It's fine. It's fine.
Exactly.
So what would you point to as your highlights as your time on the Board of Supervisors? How many years you been on the Board of Supervisors?
6 years.
6 years.
Yep. This is my third campaign because I had a short 2-year term when I first ran.
How did that work? How did that happen? 2-year term.
With redistricting, when the census is done. So like in 2012, when I first ran, it was after a census, there's a redistricting.
Right.
And depending on how that comes together, somebody to keep us on 2 people running, every 2 years, 2 people run and then 3 people run. So not everybody's up for election at the same time.
Right.
So it happens that every once in a while, somebody has to have a 2-year term to get it back in sequence. Normally, everybody's a 4-year term. So my first time was 2 years, and then the last time was 4 years, and now it's 4 years again. And then at the end of that, we'll be back into a redistricting again. And so who knows, somebody might get a 2-year term. So that's what kind of made it odd to start with.
Who was District 4 Supervisor before you?
Well, there really wasn't one. When they redistrict, it became an open district that nobody was in.
I remember. I don't. I know what you're talking about. I remember the time, but I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah, and I don't remember how it district out either. Phil Condon was on the board at that time, and Keith, and Clark Fletcher, and somehow between all of those guys,
Phil Condon and Eddie retired about the same time.
Yeah, they retired, and I think Phil and Clark ended up in the same district. If they would have both run, they would have ended up in the same district. And then my district got redone to be all in Fort Dodge for the first time, I think. And so it just developed a district that there was no incumbent in at the time.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened.
Clark was a good supervisor. I enjoyed.
Clark was a very good supervisor.
I always learned something from Clark when I go to supervisor. He wasn't much for being on the radio, but when he was very good.
Yeah, he just has a very good business mind.
That's what really came through. He had a very logical approach.
Yeah,
from his years as a business
looked
person.
At everything logically, took apart every different scenario and put it together. And yeah, he taught me a lot, and he was a great supervisor. But yeah, otherwise, I've been on there 6 years. I think probably there's 3 main things that I'm most proud of that I personally was involved in. When I first got on the board, Mark Campbell and I were elected at the same time, along with all the board members that were there. We kind of changed and enhanced the budget process to get the department heads a little more involved and the supervisors a little more involved in the budget. Not just kind of go over it real quick and rubber stamp it, but we put in place where the department heads bring in their budgets every year to us. We actually spend the time to talk to them back and forth about every line on their budget. Does 2 things. Number one, it makes the supervisors more aware of what's actually going on in each office. And it also, so you have better communication between each office and the supervisors, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also teaches not only us, but the department heads to look at every line of their budget. And it's not that we're always cutting lines. Sometimes we're suggesting the department head, hey, as supervisors, we kind of feel that there's something missing here for the public's benefit. So let's add a little bit to this line. So it's not only budget cuts, and once we started, I think the department heads and everybody seemed to think it's a good process, but it does take time to, we do that over a couple month period.
Sure.
The second thing that I'm proud of is that with all the buildings and everything, and this was actually Clark Fletcher's idea, but I took it and ran with it. Before funding, we have 1 cent, or not 1 cent, but capital improvement sales tax money that comes in. And under the voting referendum, half of that goes to our roads and the other half is to maintain our buildings. And over a lot of years, they would only maintain what kind of came up. There wasn't any planning to it. If something, if a boiler failed, they'd fix the boiler, that kind of thing. And fortunately, our sales tax fund had built up, and with some of the economic growth here, we have a fairly large amount every year that we can spend out of that. So I put together a plan basically a 5-year capital improvement plan that lists every project that's not only needed today, but what we feel should be done over the next 5 years, and prioritize those, and then start working on the list. And like one example is the Kennedy Park Road out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody it just always slipped through the cracks. It needed to be redone for many, many years, really. And it just never seemed to come to the top of the heap to, let's fix the Kennedy Park Road. And a year or so ago, we finally bit the bullet on that. And it was a $700,000 job, but it really needed it. And now it's a fantastic improvement out there. And it wasn't that we didn't have the money before. It's just, we never seemed to prioritize the right things in the right order. So every year we go through that plan, I update it. The board looks at it, kind of determines what we want to do. And it also makes us a little more proactive. Let's say an air conditioning unit is at its end of its life cycle. Well, instead of waiting until it actually breaks down and we don't have air conditioning in an office for 2 months trying to get it replaced, we've started to replace some of those things. So I think we've spent over $3 million the last few years on my tenure on there, redoing the buildings. And I must say that I think everybody thinks that our buildings and grounds and everything are probably in the best condition they've been for a long, long time. So that was a big thing that I worked on. And then the third thing really is the state order assessments. And you and I have talked about that several times. That was when we had that 38% state order, and the assessor at the time didn't want to argue it and thought it was a legitimate case, and us and the supervisors didn't. And so we took upon ourselves to appeal the case to the state, and it took some, calling down there to get them to let us appeal and everything. But then when we did get the appeal set up, Keith Dinklaw and I went down, and basically the assessor didn't do much arguing. I did all of the arguing with the state, and it wasn't really arguing, but it was just going over the sales.
Right.
What sales should we use? What sales shouldn't we use? And that's my forte from being in business. I know all of that. And so through that process, me basically arguing with the state to use what sales, it came out with a reduction from that 38% to 16%. So, and 16, that difference on commercial properties was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxes, tax increases that commercial property in town would have had. So I really am proud of that process, that we took that by the horns and ran with it, and that I had the expertise to go to Des Moines and argue that for the benefit of all Webster County.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably my three biggest accomplishments that I really am proud of, that I helped with the board. The board's the board. Now, one of us can't do much on our own, but we do have our expertise in different areas, and the budget and that kind of thing is kind of my expertise.
Sure.
Where, Keith's expertise is farming, Thode's is law enforcement. Mark is really good at like the public health and some of those things. Plus he's got a good business mind, and Nick Carlson's becoming a very good supervisor. He's one that's almost like a Clark Fletcher, that he looks at every case with an open mind and doesn't make any judgments and preconceived deals, and just figures out what's best for the community. So we all have our niches, and as a group, it works pretty good.
Well, Keith is the minister of fun, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Keith knows how to have a good time.
It can be fun around there every once in a while. Supervisor Thode this morning called me and Keith old.
Bob Thode.
Yeah, and
really,
so that caused a chuckle a little bit.
I was going to say, is Bob older than you? He's probably younger than Keith.
Yeah, I think Bob's. I'm not sure how old Bob is, but I think he is a couple years older than I am. But
I was going to say,
it's always light at the table, pretty much. But yeah, those are, I guess, what I promote is things that I directly were involved in. Other things, the county's going good. Everything can be better. That's why I run. I'm retired from real estate, and I'm not really looking for a job, so to speak, but I'm doing this not for me. I get no promotion from it. I don't have a business that benefits from it. It doesn't affect me anymore personally, but I really do it for my love and care of the community. and for my children, grandchildren, and everybody's children and grandchildren in the community. I want to make sure this is a good place for them to live and grow up and live for a long time. My family's been here for like 150 years, and I'd like to see Webster County and Fort Dodge be a better place for the next 150 years
I would too.
for everybody that is here. So
That's one of the reasons I'm still here. I just, that and the fact that I don't know what do I do if I retired. I'd be sitting around grouching about something. I might as well do it on the radio.
Exactly. And I'm the same way. I could have retired and I could have gone anywhere I wanted to, and I've chosen, and I will always live and have my home base will always be Fort Dodge. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't grow up in Fort Dodge, but I started saying several years ago I was from Fort Dodge, but why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I know my mom in Algona, but I go up there now. I really don't know anybody. I mean, a few people, of course, I grew up with.
Oh yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Definitely.
Anyway, what do you look forward to in the next year?
Well, I think we have a lot of exciting things happening. With the growth of the community, we definitely need to keep that going. We need to be proactive with businesses coming to town and things we can do to help them. We need to be proactive. I think we've talked a lot, but I haven't really started on it. Proactive with housing, building housing and things in the rural parts of the county. I'm anxious to do that, but we need to sit down and make it, a planned type of deal, not just hit and miss. So I'm anxious to have the board. We thought about after the first year, after budget, sitting down and working on that. Always trying to keep, taxes in line. They keep going up. We're having the reassessment done right now. I think that is intended to make things more equal and fair over the whole community. But with that, I think we may see some tax increases or some value increases, which we hope then can result in a little bit less of a levy, so we won't have to increase taxes. But again, looking at the budget, all of us, we keep that in mind.
Sure.
Giving the best service we can, the general services of the county with that. And otherwise, really, just like I said, just doing whatever I can, whatever the board can to make Webster County the best place we can for now and in the future. It's a great time for the community. At the forum, I talked about this a little bit. I grew up here in the bad times. I started my businesses during the really bad times. So I know what that feels like. And we have a brighter future than ever before right now. Like I said, everything's not always perfect. There's a lot of work we still have to do, but we're on the right track, and it's just time to keep that going. So
you got a couple of minutes I know you've had several minutes now to really tell us why you should be reelected, but I'll give you a couple of minutes just in case you forgot something or anything else we should know.
Well, as you know, I'm not a big self-promoter. That's not why I do this, but so it's kind of hard. But I think just my experience. We're running on experience, not only on the board, but all my years in different businesses and things like that. I have a broad base of knowledge that I bring to the board. My experience from being on there for 6 years is invaluable. Otherwise, I work really well with all the other board members. They know I don't have a set agenda. Nobody outside has any influence on me. They know that I generally try and look at every issue that comes before us and determine, what's the pros and cons of everything before I make a decision. I don't just make a snap decision. I think about everything. And the same thing applies. I'm not afraid to argue a case strongly and vote against things sometimes, instead of just rubber stamping everything. So I think those are positive things for me. I love the community. I've supported lots of things in this community through my businesses over the years, from being on the school board to school athletics, lots of different groups and causes I've always helped. I just kind of have always lived and believe in giving back in the community that I love and grew up in, and want to continue to see prosper. But so I guess the bottom line is I hope voters vote for me. I think it's a pretty clear choice between my experience and the other candidates. I don't think anybody really says that we're going in the wrong direction. There's nothing that they can point to that I've done wrong or anything. So I don't really understand why there's a need for a change. And so that's why I put myself out there to continue for 4 more years.
All right, Mayor Leffler, thank you very much. It's 5 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for listening this afternoon. We had a great program. We look forward to a great program tomorrow. And you are listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. KVFD, Fort Dodge, Iowa. Thanks for listening. We'll talk tomorrow, okay? All right, 51 degrees at 5 o'clock.
Something has to be done. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what President Trump is saying as a caravan of migrants from Central America continues to make its way to the U.S. southern border. And the administration has a theory about who's funding it. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, Vice President Mike Pence said that he spoke to the Honduran president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who told him the now 7,000-member migrant caravan was
organized by leftist organizations and financed by Venezuela.
And President Trump asked if ISIS was part of the group. Pence said it's likely Middle Easterners are in the group, since the Border Patrol does apprehend Middle Easterners at the border every day.
There's no proof of anything, but they could very well be.
Matthew Ginsburg Jekyll with the Honduran Solidarity Network, though, tells me that this Honduran administration has a history of blaming Venezuela for any protests or unrest. Lisa.
Jessica, thanks. Holding those responsible accountable, a promise from the Secretary of State days after Saudi Arabia admitted its role in the death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Fox's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
Well, members of the Saudi Intelligence Service's Royal Court and Foreign Ministry suspected of being involved in the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi are having their visas revoked by the U.S. State Department.
We're making very clear that the United States does not tolerate this kind of ruthless action to silence Mr. Khashoggi, a journalist, through violence.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the action will not be the last word in an American response. Additional sanctions could follow. Saudi authorities say they have detained 18 people in connection with Khashoggi's death. Lisa.
Jared, thanks. The president also talking about today that his planned tax cut, telling reporters this afternoon House Ways and Means Committee Chair Kevin Brady will be talking about the 10% tax cut for the middle class in the coming days. Wall Street, the Dow lost 125, the NASDAQ off 31. This is Fox News.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. Today's fluctuating interest rates can leave you with unexpected higher mortgage payments. At Quicken Loans, we've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates so you can buy a home with certainty. It's called Rate Shield, and here's how it works. With Rate Shield, you can lock your interest rate while you shop for a new home. So if rates go up, you don't have to worry. And here's the best part. If rates go down, you get the lower rate. With Rate Shield, we really have you covered. Here are more reasons why you'll want to work with America's largest mortgage lender. For 8 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 5th year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Rate Shield, another way we can save you money on your mortgage. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Based on Rocket Mortgage data in comparison to public data records. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Well, they say
your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A man from Fort Dodge has been charged with a count of second-degree kidnapping and a count of first-degree robbery after an incident on Sunday morning. 28-year-old Keene Collins is the man charged after allegedly assaulting and robbing a Webster City man. Collins, along with several others, allegedly forced the man from a home on Haskell Street into an apartment and left him in a car. Collins made his initial appearance at Webster County Magistrate Court on Monday and is being held on 2 cash bonds totaling $50,000 and was issued a no-contact order with the man. An October 31st preliminary hearing has been scheduled for Collins. A body was found in a waterway in Webster City on Sunday night. The name of the individual has not been identified and the cause of death has not been released. The Fort Dodge Community School District recently submitted its certified enrollment for the 2018-19 school year to the Iowa Department of Education. The report shows enrollment declined by 140 students compared to last year. Superintendent Jesse Ulrich said in a written statement that one of the biggest factors is that the district's kindergarten class has 40 less students than last year's graduating class, and that there are fewer resident students living in Fort Dodge. Ulrich said that the positives are that open enrollment into the district has increased, while open enrollment out has declined. The decrease in overall enrollment will mean a nearly $1 million decrease in state funding for the district next year. To prepare for this decrease in funding, the district will be offering an early retirement incentive to staff who are eligible, reviewing and adjusting administrative positions as appropriate, and analyzing how to reduce the number of dropouts and increase the graduation rate. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and her challenger Democrat Fred Hubbell are taking to the road in the closing 2 weeks of the campaign. Both candidates have announced bus tours. Hubbell is rallying supporters today near the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines before departing on a first-day swing to Nevada, Ames, Cedar Rapids, and DeWitt. Reynolds plans to begin her tour tomorrow in West Des Moines before traveling to Boone, Ames, Marshalltown, and Iowa Falls the first day. The most recent reports indicate Hubbell has set a fundraising record for an Iowa governor's race. Hubbell has raised nearly $18 million, including $6.4 million of his own money. His total beat the previous record of nearly $10 million raised by former Governor Terry Branstad in 2014. Reynolds has raised nearly $12 million for her campaign. In local sports, Bob Howard resigned as Webster City Athletic Director at Monday night's Webster City School Board meeting. His resignation will be effective on November 1st. Brent Jorth and Pat Fairley will lead the athletic department until the district hires a new AD. Howard has been the head coach of the Webster City football program since 2007 and plans on reapplying for the position when the position is advertised next year. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Clear skies and quiet tonight with a low of 29. Northeast winds around 5 miles an hour. Highs around 53.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where dad is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thanks for joining us, America. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Benjamin is with us in Wichita, Kansas. Hi, Benjamin. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call, Dave.
Sure. What's up?
Well, I have a question for you. I'm now considered uninsurable, and my term life insurance will expire next year. In our FPU class, there are several of us that are considered uninsurable. So one of our questions is, what should we do instead of term life insurance? And in my case, I already have accidental death insurance in place. Should I go ahead and cancel it or keep it since I'm now can't get term insurance?
How old are you?
43.
Why are you not insurable?
History of diabetes. I'm no longer diabetic, but I just got that diagnosis removed, but I have that in the past 5 years of my history.
Okay. Have you checked with Xander Insurance and see what they can write you?
We're in the process of having them do like a double check.
Okay. A dry app or something. Yeah. Because, you know, every day that goes by, you're going to be more and more insurable in your situation. So that's great news. This hopefully is a short-lived issue. Okay. Because in other words, I think you're going to be able to get insurance. I just don't know exactly when or what it's going to cost. That's the other thing you've got to look at. It could be unreasonable, but diabetes is a real tough diagnosis for life insurance, really tough. So anyway, the answer to your question overall is if someone's uninsurable, yes, you would keep accidental death at 40 something years old. You know, the probability is accidental. It would be your cause, except that you've had the diabetes issue. But otherwise, I mean, statistically, that'd be the cause. We don't recommend accidental death, as you know, but it's better than having no insurance.
Right.
So, yeah, I would keep it. And it's not that expensive because it's kind of gimmick insurance is what it is. Definitely would keep any term or any whole life or anything that's in place as long as you can keep it. Don't, to the very last moment. And if your term is expiring, see if have you checked to see if they have a renewal, a non-medical renewal?
No, I have not. I didn't know about those.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's very, very expensive. But again, it might be worth it. If you've got a non-medical renewal, it may just jump way up, like triple or something, what you're paying now kind of thing. So would you have like a 10 or a 20-year term and it's run out?
Right. We had 20-year term when we first got married.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's yeah. You would see it go up just to buy a 20-year term at 40 rather than at 20, obviously. But in your case, if we did a non-medical renewal, most of them have that. So I would check that. That's the other thing. Then the next thing I would do is just start looking around for gimmick type non-medical policies that don't check medical. And that's like $10,000 issued through your bank with your checking account, and you can buy it. Now, the price per thousand is really stupid high. Okay. But if you had 10 of those and had $100,000 lined up because you got some gimmick stuff, it's better than having no insurance.
Okay.
But again, you're always measuring then back against that what it's costing you. Would I pay $1,000 a year for $10,000 worth of insurance? No.
Right.
No. But would I pay $100 for that policy in this situation? Maybe. And that's really high for a 40-year-old per thousand. You see what I'm saying? So, it's just a matter of relative cost to the amount of coverage and just does it give you sticker shock when you look at it. The last thing, of course, is if you remain uninsurable long term, your goal would be the same as it would be for those who have insurance, and that is by getting out of debt and building wealth, your need for insurance goes away.